Picture the Pony Express rider. You already have a specific image in your head. A young man in buckskins, cowboy hat pulled down, revolver at his hip, galloping full speed across the open prairie. The mail must get through. That image is on postage stamps. It runs through countless films. It was the opening act of the most famous Wild West show in history for over 30 years. Nearly every specific detail in it is wrong. The real Pony Express lasted 18 months. It lost money on every single letter it carried, up to $30 per letter, according to the Smithsonian's National Postal Museum. It was already failing before the telegraph arrived. The famous Orphans Preferred recruiting advertisement? Historians traced it to a 1923 magazine article. And the writers themselves, a 25-year-old named Samuel Clemens, saw one pass his stagecoach in August 1861. He described a skullcap, thin clothes, no weapon. Not one element of the iconic image. Let's go through what the documented record actually shows. The Pony Express was founded by three freight founders, William H. Russell, Alexander Majors, and William Bradford Waddell. They assembled the entire operation in 2 months in the winter of 1860. 80 riders, roughly 190 relay stations, 400 horses, several hundred support staff. The route ran approximately 1,900 miles from St. Joseph, Missouri, the western end of the railroad at the time, to Sacramento, California. The official company name was the Central Overland California and Pikes Peak Express Company. The U.S. Postal Service confirms it was never part of the government mail system. The initial letter rate was $5 per half ounce. In 2025 terms, roughly $130 to $180 to mail a single letter. So the service was used mainly for government dispatches, bank documents, and newspaper reports, all printed on tissue-thin paper to keep costs down. The founders hoped demonstrating reliable 10-day delivery would win them $1 million government mail contract. It never did. YOHistory.org describes the Pony Express plainly in modern terms, a publicity stunt. Its entire purpose was to prove the northern route viable and secure federal funding. The contract went to a competitor. The financial record is where the forensic picture gets instructive. Total costs over 18 months, $700,000. Total receipts, approximately $500,000. That's from Britannica, drawing on period financial records. The company was losing upward of $1,000 a day. The Smithsonian's National Postal Museum documented losses of up to $30 for every letter it carried. Christopher Corbett, whose 2004 book Orphans Preferred is the most thoroughly sourced history of the venture, told Vox directly, it hemorrhaged money from the first day. It was a bit of a madcap idea from the get-go. The structure of the business was deeply flawed. William Russell was arrested in December 1860 while the Pony Express was still running, charged with involvement in embezzling government bonds from the Indian Trust Fund. His partner Majors had begun preparing for bankruptcy that same month. The Pyramid Lake War in spring 1860 had already cost the company $75,000 in burned stations and stolen horses. When the Transcontinental Telegraph connected the coasts on October 24, 1861, the Pony Express announced closure 2 days later. The telegraph did not kill a healthy business. It ended one that was already failing. Now, what the writers actually looked like, because this is where the primary source record directly contradicts the image. In early August 1861, Samuel Clemens was traveling west by stagecoach to Nevada Territory. He had spent 2 weeks in the Marion Rangers, a Confederate militia in Missouri, before leaving to join his brother Orion, who had just been appointed Secretary of the Nevada Territory by President Lincoln. The brothers departed St. Joseph on July 26, 1861. A few days later, in western Nebraska, Clemens saw a Pony Express rider pass. He later described the encounter in his 1872 book, Roughing It. It is one of the few genuine eyewitness accounts on record. What Twain actually saw, the rider's dress was thin and fitted close. He wore a roundabout and a skull cap, and tucked his pantaloons into his boot tops like a race rider. He carried no arms. He carried nothing that was not absolutely necessary, for even the postage on his literary freight was worth $5 a letter. No buckskin jacket, no wide-brimmed cowboy hat, a skull cap and a short, close jacket, dressed like a jockey, because every extra ounce slowed the horse. Twain called him a little bit of a man, brimful of spirit and endurance. Riders earned between $100 and $150 per month, according to the Library of Congress and Britannica. That was roughly triple the going rate for unskilled labor in 1860. They averaged 120 to 125 pounds. They covered 75 to 100 miles per run and switched horses every 10 to 15 miles. Before being hired, each rider signed a written oath on the inside of a Bible given to them by Alexander Majors. No profane language, no intoxicating liquors, no quarreling or fighting. Sir Richard Burton, the British explorer who traveled the entire route in summer 1860 and documented conditions in his 1862 book, The City of the Saints, observed Major's stagecoach employees bound by the same oath and wrote, "I scarcely ever saw a sober driver." The oath and the reality parted ways immediately. The station keepers tell the real danger story. During the Pyramid Lake War alone, 16 station employees were killed and 9 stations burned down. Compare that to the riders themselves. The National Park Service documents that 6 riders died in total service across the entire 18 months, 4 killed by hostile attacks, 2 who froze to death. The iconic image of the endangered rider galloping through a constant gauntlet of hostiles was almost entirely invented. The men who took the greatest actual risk were the ones nobody put in the paintings. One rider who performed something genuinely extraordinary needs to be in the record. Robert Pony Bob Haslam, age 20, in May 1860. He completed his usual 75-mile eastbound run in Nevada and arrived at Buckland Station to find his relief rider refusing to go. Paiute warriors had been attacking stations along the route, and the man was terrified. Haslam got back on a fresh horse. He rode 190 miles without stopping before finally handing off the mail. Then, after 9 hours of rest, he saddled up and rode the full distance back, passing a station that had been burned to the ground by Paiutes during the interval. Total distance, 380 miles in under 40 hours. Confirmed by the National Pony Express Association and History.com. That ride required 0 embellishment. Buffalo Bill never came close to it. Now the famous advertisement. Wanted, young, skinny, wiry fellows not over 18, must be expert riders willing to risk death daily. Orphans preferred. Historian Joseph Nardone has traced this ad to no earlier than 1902, 41 years after the Pony Express ended. No original copy has ever been found in an 1860 newspaper archive. Christopher Corbett, citing Western Horseman research, traces the specific phrase "orphans" preferred to a 1923 article in Sunset magazine. The ad was never placed by the company. It was a 20th century invention that got reprinted so many times it ended up in National Geographic. So, where did the whole image come from? Primarily one man. William Frederick Cody was born February 26, 1846. When the Pony Express launched in April 1860, he was 14. His connection to the founders was real. After his father died, he went to work as a messenger for the Russell, Majors, and Waddell freight firm near Leavenworth, Kansas. Whether he ever rode for the Pony Express itself is disputed in the historical record. His name does not appear in official company records. YOHistory.org concludes he never did. Britannica states there is significant evidence that he served 2 tours of duty as a rider, citing Alexander Majors's own account. His claimed specific ride, a 322-mile non-stop run through Wyoming, has been examined by YOHistory.org, which found that the 2 stations he names in that account are only 25 miles apart, not 85. The claimed run, at minimum, cannot have happened as described. What Cody definitely did, he opened Buffalo Bill's Wild West in Omaha, Nebraska, in 1883. The Pony Express was the show's opening act from day one. A rider galloped at full speed to the grandstand, leaped off, transferred the mail pouch to a fresh horse, and was gone. The Encyclopedia of the Great Plains documents the show ran from 1883 to 1893, with Cody then performing with other shows through 1896. In 1887, the show went to London for Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee. Wikipedia confirms royalty across Europe attended, including the future Kaiser Wilhelm II. Larry McMurtry, quoted in YOHistory.org, Cody succeeded in taking a very few elements of Western life and created an illusion that successfully stood for a reality that had been almost wholly different. Without that show, the Pony Express would be a historical footnote. With it, millions of people across America and Europe came to believe they knew exactly what it was: the buckskins and the revolver, the constant Indian pursuit, the fearless orphan riding for glory. None of it from the record, all of it from the show. Here is the honest forensic accounting of what the Pony Express actually did. It proved the Central Northern route was viable year-round for cross-country communication. In the months leading directly into the Civil War, it was the only fast link between Washington and California. Riders delivered Lincoln's 1860 election results west in roughly 7 days. They delivered his inaugural address in March 1861 in 7 days and 17 hours, the fastest documented run in the service's history, confirmed by the Library of Congress. That timing mattered. California's loyalty was not guaranteed. Keeping it connected to Washington in the weeks before Fort Sumter may have been the most consequential thing the Pony Express ever did. 18 months of operation, $700,000 in costs against $500,000 in revenue. Approximately 35,000 letters delivered. 6 riders died in total service. 16 station employees killed in a single conflict. A founder arrested for embezzlement while still running. A business that was already failing when the technology arrived that ended it. And then one showman who turned that failed company into the defining image of the American West on an advertisement written 4 decades after the fact. On riding exploits that appear nowhere in company records. On paintings of armed men in buckskins that a real eyewitness account from 1861 specifically and directly contradicts. Mark Twain saw the actual thing: a skull cap, thin clothes, no gun, gone in 2 minutes. He called the rider a swift phantom of the desert. The phantom is still going. It just stopped being real sometime around 1883.